Plus, don't you know you can never trust Emily Thorne? Bro approval. Here's another real-world crossover for Scott Lang, Paul Rudd. This is like the best-case scenario of worlds colliding. My buddy Ant-Man, whose backstory I know, and my other buddy Steve Rogers, who I've known since the 1940s, finally meeting and getting along? Also, how about that little jab at the typical formulaic Marvel ending there?
Something about some psycho assassins?
Because who really cares? Another insert villain here type bad guy? Scott Lang is always the man for the meta job.
Captain America. I know you too. You're great.
Also compliments.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Everyone's always so polite to Black Panther. Spider-Man! Yes, Spider-Man catching Bucky's metal arm.
You have a metal arm?
This is a Spider-Man full of life and excited and intrigued by everything. So there's the Sokovia Accords for preventing human casualty, but what about preventing property damage? Honda Accords? Anyone? Too bad there are only Audis in the MCU. Missed opportunity.
Oh god.
Spidey sense!
You couldn't have done that earlier? I hate you.
Honesty. This is that scene where your inner child should be welling up with tears from so much excitement. Just making sure we're all on the same page.
We fight.
And this is when your eyes get as big as dinner plates and you can't wipe that dumb grin off your face. Scarlet Witch gets the saving your friend's gold medal in this fight.
That thing does not obey the laws of physics at all.
Which says the guy who can climb straight up walls.
Buckled in?
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good, Arrow Guy.
Nickname win. Also, amazing comic reference. And any scenes involving Ant-Man are some of the most stunning.
It's your conscience. We don't talk a lot these days.
Alright, fine. I'll win Ant-Man.
Then I passed out.
Self-confidence.
There you go.
Giant Man! So this was a win I took out of my Winter Soldier video because I didn't want to spoil Civil War. But remember this?
It was down to me to save your life. Would you trust me to do it?
I would now.
Just in case anyone thought that was uncharacteristic of Black Widow.
You ever see that really old movie? Empire Strikes Back?
Wait, what? Everyone has seen Empire. What? Tom Holland actually hasn't seen it? I don't know what to do here. Tom Holland loses a win until he sees it, but it was a funny line. But still, AT-AT reference.
Said I'd help you find him, huh, Captain? There's a difference.
Good thing Vulcans embrace technicality. Win for Vision's first real human moment. He's a supercomputer that should have calculated all the variables, or even more importantly, should have been up there with them still in this fight. Instead, he was tending to Wanda, who he's falling for. Brutal. Right up until the last second you think they might catch him, but the ground only comes into frame as he hits it.
You gotta watch your back with this guy. There's a chance he's gonna break it.
Low blow, Hawkeye. Low blow.
Stark. Who are you?
Ooh, burn.
Because you don't have to go Mark Furman on my...
Hey, at least they're sticking with the 90s theme. Yup, right?
Did you know? Yes.
Well executed, surprising, emotionally relevant twist win. Anti-Stormtrooper aim. An alternate subtitle for this movie could have been Captain America Falling Down. Harder than Hank Pym. Ooh, that's a layered reference.
This isn't gonna change what happened. I don't care. He killed my mom.
And after everything that's been happening with Tony, losing Pepper, feeling guilt over Sokovia, and now learning what he believed about his parents' death was a lie all along, this response is totally believable. As much as it pains me to say, teamwork. And this might be the most beautiful showdown the MCU has ever offered. The directors, DP, gaffer, location scout, man, just everyone involved in this looking like this. You all get a win. Even in all this chaos where you wouldn't be surprised if Bucky was trying to kill Tony since Iron Man is trying to kill him, Cap and Bucky are just trying to disable his suit and end the fight. Wouldn't be a Russo MCU film without someone losing an arm Star Wars style. Never has a comic cover or panel come to life like this. Just epic.
I'm going to bed. I love you.
Now this
Never
voicemail
thought that, but
message
that
takes
was
on a
amazing.
new meaning and really humanizes Zemo.
And the Avengers. They went home.
We'll talk about Zemo's plan a bit later, but I've got to give Daniel Bruhl a win for his performance throughout. Who can't sympathize with his motivations?
Vengeance has consumed you. It's consuming them. Don't let it consume me.
Taking the high road. Stopping a bullet with your hand. Bet we'll never see that again.
I can do this all day.
Callback. Another emotional closing to a Captain America story.
Yeah.
As much as he loves Bucky, you know it hurts to see Tony in so much pain. And the idea of losing him can't be easy.
Raise your voice.
That was a strong emotional.
Touch the glass. Zap.
I wouldn't mess with him. He talks to dragons.
Are you Tony Stank?
You wouldn't think Stan Lee would be willing to deliver anything for Cap after he stole that uniform in Winter Soldier. Or maybe he got him his job. Limit win. One of the few complaints lobbed at this movie is that Marvel refuses to ever follow through on the stakes they set up, that everything is peachy by the end because of Cap's note to Tony. But Cap wasn't the one with the problem. Cap wasn't asking for change. He wanted things to stay the same. It should have been no surprise that Cap wrote this letter and we don't really get Tony's response. For me, it's pretty open-ended. Obviously, I expect them to reconcile before the huge conflict of Infinity War, or more likely Thanos' arrival will have the UN begging for Cap to lead the Avengers again. But that doesn't eliminate the lasting effects this film had on Steve and Tony's relationship.
No problem.
Please hold.
Keeping a promise.
You can call me anytime. I'll put you on hold. I'd like to watch the line blink.
Poor E.P. Louis Esposito gets a Hydra shadow. And the closing credits are not peachy keen, everything's back to normal. There are still forming and lasting cracks.
I'm comfortable. Let them try.
Black Panther!
Hope you got a few good licks in.
An Aunt May that encourages Peter to fight? Is it possible to avoid the great power, great responsibility speech? Nah. Also Spider-Man! Civil War. The movie that no one expected to compete with Batman v Superman ended up beating it at the box office and in critic ratings. It's not to say it's perfect, but it's pretty dang close. Captivating characters that have been built up over 832 MCU movies, an ending that no one saw coming that subverted the expectations of a typical escalation giant big bad finale, except for the few people that noticed this little Easter egg in Winter Soldier, and some emotional conflict that ends up superseding the political one. One of the easiest parts of this movie to pick apart is Zemo's plan. I understand some Dark Knight's Joker level pieces falling perfectly into place happened, but the way I look at it, he eventually would have been able to get that tape to start this fight anyway. So why not now? I'll first say that while I usually give villains credit for having bigger plans, higher motives, or the best of intentions, Zemo is a simple villain with a simple goal: revenge for the death of his family. And what better way to do that than to pit the two leaders of the team you feel is responsible against each other? I was going to talk through the entire thing with clips proving that it's not as convoluted as you might think. Instead, you can pause here and read it if you want. The one thing I will talk about are the complaints that the whole Super Soldier subplot was a waste of time just tricking us until a twist. But that was a big part of Zemo's plan.
That's true.
It's the reason he makes sure the real psychiatrist is discovered. He already knows he has at least Steve and Bucky headed to the Super Soldiers, but he was also trying to get Tony there as well. It's just a matter of making sure Tony's alerted to the switch he made, which would obviously lead him to believe Cap's original story about the Super Soldiers. It's also important to note that Zemo's plan has nothing to do with the Accords and wouldn't be affected by the Accords in any way. And everyone's favorite complaint is that a bunch of people other than Zemo had to do things a certain way for this plan to work, except we're actually shown his plan not working. He was hoping to get the info about Siberia from the Hamlet, and he didn't, so he moved on to Plan B 2.3. Is it so hard to imagine that he had multiple plans and backup plans? Wouldn't it have been boring to watch him constantly pivoting instead of just showing whatever his backup plan was panning out? Zemo is at the very least a new, interesting villain. All the cast members we love are back and giving their all. The new additions of Tom Holland and Chadwick Boseman were superb choices for their respective roles.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for both Black Panther and Spider-Man Homecoming because of this film.
Everyone's gotta give him now.
Can't wait for
The Russo
that.
brothers have now firmly proven that they know what they're doing. There's not just one narrative thread that leads to civil war. It's layers upon layers upon layers of history and conflict. Tony resents, actually he says,
God, I hated you.
before Steve was even back in the picture because of his father Howard's love for Cap. The tension between them has been building since the first Avengers.
Yeah.
They're both emotionally compromised from personal relationship issues, and then you throw the final twist into the mix and their fight is totally believable, organic, and stands on its own. The most interesting thing happening in this film is the initial setup and switch of Tony and Steve. The government creation no longer trusts the organization that made him, and the self-made genius rebel is now looking for that organization to hold him accountable. The Winter Soldier was Steve's real awakening when it came to large organizations. S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to be this incorruptible group of people started by Peggy. When he realizes that even they could be compromised by something like Hydra, that no people with agendas could really be trusted, of course he's going to be against the Accords. Tony, on the other hand, has spent film after film making mistakes and the wrong decisions. Decisions that led to him creating Killian, creating Ultron, and the thing leaving him the most raw from this film, losing Pepper. This film is great because it's the culmination of both these men's stories. Their arcs didn't start at the beginning of this film, so really credit to the MCU as a whole. Other than our leaders, every character, Avenger or otherwise, has their own personal reasons for picking the side that they do. No one is just on one side or the other by default, even though for both War Machine and Falcon, there really was never a choice. They're going to be with their best friends. But Vision, Wanda, Natasha, they all come to their own conclusions about the Accords based on personal experience. Even though this is another more mature film, closer to Winter Soldier than Avengers, it still has that Marvel charm and lightheartedness.
We talked about this.
Yes, but the door was open, so I assumed...
And using Ant-Man and Spider-Man to deliver most of the comedy throughout the airport fight was well conceived, as they're the only two who have no stake in this fight.
Gotta say, that's awesome.
I don't know if you've been in a fight before, but there's usually not this much talking. Oh, come on! Oh, man, I thought it was a water truck.
But every character gets their little comedy moment.
So you like cats?
So now the Russos have also proven that they can handle a huge ensemble cast. I won't say that I'm not a little worried for Infinity War in that respect. Especially if they're really going to combine everyone from this film with the rest of the missing Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the 2 new characters from this film, and possibly introduce Captain Marvel. Screw it, it's gonna be awesome. Just get Fox to throw in a few X-Men and the Fan-4 you're guaranteed to make $1 trillion. And then we could actually do a JLA Avengers team-up. Snyder, Whedon, Russo brothers, all co-directing? What could possibly go wrong?
Wow.
What do you mean they already did it? Oh. Right, it's called the Lego Movie.
You know, they say sarcasm is a metric for potential.
It's 170.
Captain America.
Mr. Lang?
Thanks for thanking me.
Some parts are true. They're great, but sometimes there are other stuff that doesn't need to, which I do understand. And I got motorcycle passing me by. Ah! Man. Yeah. That is a longest one. So, that was a big reaction, guys. I mean, I liked it very much, but it looks like I'm gonna try to keep it as a 2 or 3 part of this video. So I'm gonna start doing that now and just finish this off. So guys, if you like my reaction, hit the like button, subscribe and share, and don't forget to comment below. Tell me what you thought of what's great about Captain America Civil War. Think it was worth it? Think it came out better? Black Panther, Spider-Man would have come out better. Doctor Strange is coming up. So who knows? I can't wait. Anyway, guys, that's it. This is Superhero Movie Reactor saying that, well, keep our fingers crossed. Let it be the best. And I'll see you guys next time. And give me a superhero movie trailer. Sorry, I'm tired. I'm really tired. I had to wake up early. Give me a superhero trailer, and I'll react.